Hello and welcome to World Stories, the show that takes you around the globe to check out the stories shaping your world. Today, we're traveling to Mexico to find out about the animal that can regrow its own limbs. Later, we'll find out why trees are so important to the ecosystem in Laos. And finally, hit the streets of Berlin for a musical finale. But first, in late 2013, just 2 years after South Sudan gained independence, a political power struggle plunged the country into a violent ethnic conflict. The UN has said that by the end of this year, half of South Sudan's 12 million people will be either in flight, facing starvation, or dead. At least half of them are children, and many were separated from their parents in the chaos. Sarah Crow reports from South Sudan on the UN's efforts to reunite the country's lost children with their families.
What their eyes have seen, they will not and cannot say. These lost children are among the hundreds and thousands left in the shadow of the fighting in South Sudan late last year. An internal conflict between the National Army and rebel groups. Too young, too afraid, the children remain silent about what happened during their separation from their parents amid the chaos of war. Rescued and brought here to this children's center in the capital city, Juba, they are cared for while their families are traced. Bishop Martin Moga, director of child welfare, knows their pain.
It was really very bad. Very, very bad. They are totally traumatized and sick. They didn't know even what to do. So through the help of UNICEF, our partner, so we start to care for the children. We give them medication, food, and clothes.
A fragile ceasefire has uncovered the devastating impact of the crisis on the children of South Sudan. Hundreds of thousands made homeless, squashed into overcrowded camps, watched over by the United Nations mission there. Families are still fearful to leave. For the children, getting life-saving supplies is critical. But insecurity and limited access means each flight hangs in the balance. Among the hundreds of children separated, very few so far have been reunited with their parents. Nayawal Ruak is lucky to get her sons back.
The kids ran away and followed the crowd. The older kid was brave and didn't let go of the others. When the gunshots died down, I went to look for my kids, but I couldn't find them. They had found my relatives and gone with them. I gave the report to those looking for missing children. They looked and found them. I give thanks to God and to those who helped me find my children.
UNICEF's Cornelius Williams tracks the missing ones.
These children definitely need to be identified, and we're doing that right now. And we need to trace the families, where are these families? If the families are dead, where are the extended families? It's just a matter of time. With the ceasefire, with the work that we're doing, most of these children would be back in their families.
Now it's a race against time for South Sudan's children.
Up next, we travel to Mexico to meet an unusual creature that might just hold the secret to future medical breakthroughs in its genes. The axolotl, or Mexican salamander, is native to the area around Mexico City, and it has the unique ability to regrow lost limbs or even some vital organs if they become damaged. Researchers say that understanding the regenerative ability of the axolotl might just teach us how to better save human lives. But urbanization in Mexico City and the resulting water pollution have made axolotls nearly extinct in the wild. Perla Velasquez from Canal 22 reports on one local attempt to reintroduce this fascinating species to its native habitat.
Aztec legend tells the story of Xolotl, twin brother of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god. He was meant to be sacrificed to set the stars in motion. But Xolotl fled to the lake in the Valley of Mexico and became an axolotl.
It would be a shame if a species of such great scientific and cultural significance were to disappear. The Cuemanco Center is pioneering ways to protect these animals. Their populations have already dwindled substantially in the canals. So we started the reintroduction program to change that.
In pre-Columbian times, the axolotl was a source of food. They're said to have made construction of the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, possible by serving as payment for building materials. Today, researchers are interested more in what they have to offer science.
It's of such great scientific importance because it's a primitive organism that can regenerate parts of its body, not just its extremities, but even nerve tissue, which more highly developed vertebrates can't do.
When it hatches, the axolotl resembles a tadpole. But it's actually a kind of salamander that doesn't mature. Researchers hope it will gain a foothold in the Xochimilco Lake area on the outskirts of Mexico City.
We're trying to make the apantles suitable as a habitat. They're historical aqueducts that are side arms of the canals. We've been working on that for years. And we've already started reintroducing them in the lake area.
The National Autonomous University of Mexico's School of Chemistry has developed a barrier and filter system to improve water quality in the apantles and protect against predators. 200 axolotl have already been reintroduced to the area.
Now we're trying to get them established in other places to make sure the existing populations don't disappear. We want them to thrive in these lakes.
Natural disasters like forest fires and earthquakes can strike at any time. And as disaster relief efforts around the world have shown, a quick response can make the difference between life and death. But it can be hard to think clearly in the heat of the moment. And when it comes down to it, how many of us really know how to use a fire extinguisher correctly? That's why practice and preparation are so key in the event of an emergency. Al-An's reporter Amr Misbah visits a new program in Saudi Arabia that's helping students and teachers be ready for the worst.
I Am a Leader. That's the name of a disaster preparedness training program for teachers and some 3,000 students in Jeddah. It's sponsored by the Saudi Education Ministry. The program is designed to get students ready to deal with a natural disaster. It also helps them organize volunteer efforts on site.
هو احنا بنديهم أسس عن القيادة.
We'll show you how to get organized and teach you the basics of volunteer work, as well as the basic steps you need to take in a disaster. We've learned from the earthquake that recently struck Iran. Here, you learn how to use a fire extinguisher, give first aid, how to protect yourself, for example, by getting under a table.
Malik Al-Sharif enrolled in the program to help prepare himself for emergencies and to get the information he'd need to take action if necessary. In this course, I want to expand on my basic knowledge. I gained a lot from the emergency volunteer course. Now I'll be able to help out in an emergency. The I Am a Leader training program is one of the largest of its kind in Saudi Arabia. Its ultimate objective is to prevent injuries and deaths in emergencies and help relief efforts. The students are taught how to organize themselves and others and to use equipment like fire extinguishers. But above all, they're taught to act responsibly and consistently, and what steps to take in case of an emergency.
Our planet's forests serve, among other things, as vital carbon stores. They help filter the greenhouse gas CO2 from the atmosphere, and that helps slow the effect of global climate change. So every tree that's lost affects the environment. But around the world, 13 million hectares of vital forests disappear each year. Laos in Southeast Asia is a natural treasure trove. Its biodiversity is sustained by huge forests, which used to cover most of the country. But here, too, the trees are under threat. Back in 1940, some 70% of the land was forest. Today, it's just over half. But there is hope. A German aid project has teamed up with the locals in a bid to halt this downward trend.
These women are searching for their next meal. They find everything they need to survive in the forest, such as grasses, roots, and bamboo. This is still a fairly pristine environment, located in a natural reserve. The local population can live off the forest. But just a few dozen kilometers away, loggers have already destroyed local livelihoods. They're transporting illegally logged tropical timber. These people are not interested in protected areas or permits. They're after quick money, and to get it, they sacrifice the forest. The unique habitat is fragmented by deep corridors of cleared forest. Bushes are all that grow back.
Laos has good forests that cover much of the country. But illegal logging in some areas is a problem. The loggers deal with the locals, who help them get wood. The government tries to combat that, of course.
We're on our way to Nam Pui, a reserve on the Thai border, where a team from the German Agency for International Cooperation is working with the Laotian Forestry Authority. The state and experts share a common goal: to save the forest. To do that, they need the locals' help. The car makes repeated stops. Where trees once stood, only scrub is left. Here, farmers have illegally cleared the forest to create farmland. The population of Laos is growing and needs more food. The average monthly income is less than $100 US. The intensive farming takes its toll on the land.
I see that the color of the soil has changed. That worries me, because it's not as fertile anymore.
Climate change isn't yet a priority for the locals. It's too much of a struggle just to survive. Some villages in Sayaburi province have joined a pilot project. The villagers pledge to actively protect the forest, which can later earn them a small income. The village elders have called a meeting so that locals can learn about the nature preserves, the project's objectives, and how villagers can make a positive difference. This is a new situation for the people here, who are free to ask the NGO workers questions. If the project is to succeed, it's essential that the local population participates.
We have to make clear the advantages this has for the people. They have to understand the project. It's not easy explaining what they can gain or what it's supposed to achieve. That's why training is vital, so that they all join in.
RED Plus is the name of the UN program to prevent deforestation while fighting poverty. One approach would be through selling CO2 certificates, because each tree stores carbon, as the people here learn. Revenue from the certificates could finance the work here and pay for jobs. For the project's borders to be exactly defined, the forest first has to be surveyed. Farmers roam the area with GPS devices, recording the number of trees and marking the boundaries. Elsewhere, rangers keep out poachers. This is a checkpoint at the edge of the reserve. It comes as a surprise to some that they're not allowed to do as they please here. The park rangers have received training and now keep a lookout for weapons and traps, the tools of the poachers. The rangers live in the forest for weeks at a time and earn a modest salary. They know the entire region's livelihood depends on an intact and healthy forest. Even with minimal equipment, they're already making progress.
We've been here for a few months already, and the villagers have noticed we're keeping our eyes open. They don't come here that often. Some take other routes to the forest. We've confiscated these cable loops for catching animals and valuable timber, but the illegal activity is declining.
These locals are helping protect the forest as paid guards. Often several dozen people live off the work of one elephant. Currently, the animals are often used in illegal logging and under poor conditions. The plan is for elephants to start working with the rangers in the forest under humane conditions. That way, they protect their own habitats.
The forest going down to patches of forests, so it's difficult for elephants who are nomadic animals and who need very long distances in forest to travel and to migrate. It's quite difficult for them to continue this given to the current state of forests.
Preserving the forest is a goal that unites climate and wildlife experts. In the elephant sanctuary, this mother can raise her young one in safety. Healthy forest surrounds the site. That's just the way both animals and people need it.
Berlin has long been a magnet for electronic music lovers, and its 24-hour party culture has made the German capital a must-see destination for European clubbers. But as Nova TV reporter Sofia Stojceva found out, Berlin's music scene is a whole lot more than just underground nightclubs. Bulgarian folk music has also found a home in Berlin. She introduces us to two groups who are helping modern music fans rediscover one of Europe's richest musical traditions.
When you think of traditional Eastern European folk music, central Berlin isn't the first place to come to mind. But the complex harmonies of Bulgarian folk music have found a new home in the German capital.
Spicy People is a group of mostly Germans who play Balkan folk songs. They concentrate mainly on Bulgarian folk music. It's exciting to listen to Bulgarian music and watch Germans dance to it. It's very enjoyable to see foreigners dance to Bulgarian folk music. Sometimes they start to sing. The feeling is incredible.
Who are the people in the photo?
This is Ollie, who keeps things running, plays music, and organizes everything we do.
Spicy People, or Ljuti Hora, is just one of many Bulgarian bands to play Berlin. Franka is the group's accordionist. Doris is the choreographer. Martin, the only actual Bulgarian in the group, is the bagpiper. Oliver says he's been traveling to the Balkans with his parents since he was a child. They had many friends there, and they still do. Nowadays, he travels there to meet people on his own. Oliver also explained the group's name comes from a play on words. In Bulgarian, hora can mean either folk dance or a group of people. So liuti hora can mean spicy people or spicy dance. The energetic atmosphere of Liuti Hora and other Bulgarian bands has drawn together a group of dedicated followers. That sense of community is what motivates Oliver Djors night after night. Oliver says he feels very comfortable and energetic when he plays together with these musicians. They're not only colleagues, they've been friends for a couple of years now, so they have a lot of fun together. But small music clubs aren't the only places that Germans and Bulgarians are harmonizing together. Bulgarian Voices Berlin, a women's choir based in the German capital, brings together women from all over the world with the love of folk music. Many people of different nationalities used to sing in this choir. Right now, as you see, most of them are Germans. But there are people from Britain, Russia, Poland. There used to be French and Americans. I think about 10 different nationalities have sung in this choir. What they like most is the authentic sound of Bulgarian folk songs. That's why the interest is so great. I heard Bulgarian music for the first time 20 years ago. That was that very famous album. I forget what it was called. The rhythms and harmonies are very different, and that's why I like Bulgarian music so much. I like the story. It sounds like a fairy tale. Dragana sedi v gradina, mome dragano, dragano, gergevčije, lisempeje, mome dragano, dragano. The wooden flute sings is my favorite. It's about the kaval. That's the Bulgarian flute.
Diese Kaval, die da singt.
Our folklore and our nature are both phenomenal. They can't be found anywhere else. They touch hearts and souls. It doesn't exist in other countries, and that's why they appreciate it. We Bulgarians have it, but we can't appreciate it or even really have time for it.
And that musical finale brings us to the end of another edition of World Stories. I hope you liked what you saw and heard. You can always share your thoughts about the show on our Facebook page. I'll leave you with our picks of the world. From me and the entire World Stories team, thanks for watching.